Having a common reading for incoming first-year students has become standard at most universities. The purpose of such a reading varies across institutions, but according to North Carolina State University's website, the reading is a common educational and interactive experience for incoming undergraduate students, and a way to introduce them to the university's institutional and academic values and expectations, including engagement as members of this community of scholars. This year, incoming first-year students were required to read The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks by Rebecca Skloot. In my 3.5 years teaching English 101 at NC State, I've heard many student comments about the Common Reading Program, both this year with Henrietta Lacks as well as previous years with other books. Mostly, the comments are about confusion. It seems that the Common Reading Program isn't very common, and students have varying experiences and varying understandings of what the book is to be used for. Most of the activities surrounding the book happen before and at the very beginning of the fall semester, and while instructors and professors are welcome to incorporate the book into their classes, it's not a requirement. I don't know of any English 101 instructor that uses it in the classroom. In a course based on academic reading and writing, there simply isn't a place for a book written for the general public. So, since I teach mostly first-year students, I took this opportunity to finally ask some specific questions about the program. 59 of them responded to my questionnaire. Now, not all the comments about the program were negative. But most of their responses were critical of the program in some way. The first thing I asked was what they originally thought Henrietta Lacks was going to be used for. Did they think it was for a class, for orientation activities, or for something else? Here are some of their answers. "67% of the students who thought the reading would be for a class thought it would be for English 101. I then asked if they had any suggestions about the Common Reading Program in general. The Common Reading Program at Buffalo State College uses a multimedia CD that gives students different units of materials for each month. There, the program has expanded so much that the CD is actually used with students at all levels, from first year to senior. I knew when I gave my students their questionnaire that I wanted to base my proposal on that program, so I also asked them what they would think of a collection of materials on a topic, rather than just one book. It seems that students, by and large, didn't find at least part of the Common Reading Program to be effective, and would be open to the idea of a radical change. Here's my suggestion. Instead of one full book, I am proposing collections of materials organized around a theme, much like the program at Buffalo State. These materials would be presented to students in the form of an interactive website, which is what you see here. The materials would span genres. There would be fiction, nonfiction, articles, documentaries, art. There would be a new collection of materials for each month that is in some way tied to the bigger theme. With a collection of materials rather than a single reading, the common readings could be more easily integrated into the classroom. Instructors and professors could choose which readings or videos to assign to students, which would give them more flexibility in planning. There would also be more opportunities for activities, readings, and discussions throughout the year. This would hopefully result in a more universal common reading experience, even if all the students didn't read the same selections. For this example, the year's theme would be Broader Horizons. Months would have their own theme and a collection of materials based around that theme, like culture or food, or in the case of this example, Language. This first resource is from the North Carolina Language and Life Project, operated by the Linguistics Department at North Carolina State. This YouTube channel contains clips from the various documentaries that the NCLLP has done on the different dialects and languages found here in North Carolina. It's a fascinating collection of language and culture, and since I've already shown several of the full documentaries to my classes, I know that students are interested. The second resource is a short story called Speech Sounds by Octavia Butler. In this story, a virus has almost completely wiped out human language. Rye, the protagonist, is trying to make her way to Pasadena, where she thinks she may have family. The story is most definitely thought-provoking and makes the reader ponder the value of language, human adaptability, and what it means to be human. The third reading is a brochure on language change distributed by the Linguistic Society of America. The goal of this brochure is to dispel the common myth that language deteriorates over time if we don't keep a close eye. This reading explains and gives evidence to show that language change is a natural process. The fourth resource, a novel, is the longest. Native Tongue by Suzette Hayden Elgin is a novel that uses language as a social justice tool. In the novel, the 19th Amendment that gave women the right to vote has been repealed, and a group of women who are fighting back create a new language to better express themselves. While some of Elgin's assumptions may be flawed, the idea that those who hold power over language is valid, and the social justice component makes the novel applicable, thought-provoking, and useful for the classroom. The final resource is a short article by linguist John Baugh called Racial Identification by Speech. Baugh discusses the realities that we make assumptions about people based on their speech. For example, right now you probably assume that I'm female, that I'm young-ish, and probably white. But those assumptions can become problematic when used in legal situations. Baugh interestingly doesn't take a side per se, but encourages careful consideration and fairness. I gave this suggested unit to 5 of my students and asked for feedback on what they thought of this type of common reading program. To begin with, this time, not everything was positive. But overall, they had some good things to say. It was really good to finally get some actual data from students about the Common Reading program here at State. It seems that the current program is falling a bit short of its goals, and that my proposed website program would allow for greater applicability and interest across campus.